Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to our Tim at 10. Today is Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. Today, we're going to do our Directors Roundtable for the month of October. We haven't done one of these in a little while, so I'm super excited about this particular session. There is no script. There's no bullet points for me to go over. This is intended just to have a conversation, to kind of go over some facts, to answer any questions, and have positive and upbeat, optimistic conversations. The goal of today's webinar is to work together to find solutions so that we can have our grit, our determination, and we can move forward. The intent behind this webinar is not to complain or bash or talk bad about people. That's not my style. So we're going to stay positive and upbeat, and we're going to look for solutions. If we keep it that way, then we've got this. We've totally got this. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Darlene. Hello, hello. So awesome to see y'all. All right, so I basically have about 8 items that are on my list of current topics, current issues that we just want to talk about this morning. Hopefully, we'll get through all of them. Some are going to be more of a conversation than others. So we're going to go ahead and get started as everyone is logging in. Remember, this is always recorded and it's always posted on our website and on Facebook. If you miss any part of the webinar today, I totally understand that you are running programs. You have staff, you have parents that seem to want to distract you. If you do need to walk away and take care of business, that is a-okay. You can always come back and rewatch anything that you missed later on. So that's the great thing about these right here. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the biggest elephant in the room, and that is the child care cliff. Right? So many of y'all have heard about this. It's been all over the media. It's been all over the Facebook and all of the different director groups and owner groups and administrator groups. Lots and lots of people are talking about the child care cliff. There is a lot of misleading information that is going on out there on social media and in the media and just in media in general. So I just kind of want to set the record straight and give you all some factual information. And then if we need to have some conversation, we can definitely have some conversation. Is this a big deal? Absolutely, it is. It is 100% a very big deal that could have a huge impact on all of our businesses. Is it as scary as the media is making it? No. I mean, that's what you've got to really look at. Here, let's go ahead and just sum it up right here at the beginning. We're going to go backwards with this conversation. We're going to sum it up first, and then we're kind of go through the facts. You're going to operate your program the same way you did in 2019 with the funding that you received in 2019. Y'all, that's basically it. All right. So the child care cliff is basically the money that was given to the child care industry in 2021 as part of the relief package expired on September 30th of 2023, meaning that money is gone. It's done. All right. Now, the bulk of that money was spent on relief funds. And here in the state of Texas, we got a few rounds of relief funds that were distributed to licensed programs, licensed centers, and registered homes. Most of you participated in that and received those fundings. That money is gone. All right. And so there's no plan to give us any more. There was some additional money that was part of the Child Care Stabilization Grant that was also given to boost the subsidy system so that more families would qualify for subsidies, more children would be able to receive care. But the bulk of that money did go towards the relief funds. Now, hopefully, those of you that received those funds, which is most of you, You spent that money on what you were supposed to spend it on. You reported it. You did your audits, and you're all in wonderful good shape. Now we got to keep in mind that not only did you receive that money that you could use on payroll expenses, mortgages and lease, utilities, cleaning supplies, food, all of that stuff. You were also receiving money from your families. Most of you were still collecting tuition. Now, there was a portion of that money that was earmarked for tuition assistance, and so I'm sure that most of you gave some type of tuition assistance to families. But you were kind of double dipping because you got the relief fund and you also were collecting tuition. So hopefully, the money that you collected as tuition that normally would have paid for payroll and rent and mortgage and utilities, you put that money aside. And hopefully, you've put it in a nice savings account and you've got it sitting somewhere nice and pretty. So, as we navigate through this cliff, hopefully, you've got some backup funding. All right. And we've talked about this in the past. I've talked about this in previous webinars. You got to be smart with that money. You got to forecast out. We've given a lot of pay increases to our staff, which is desperately, desperately needed. We've enhanced our benefits. We've enhanced our programs. You had to be smart with the way you were spending that money. So even when the relief funds ended, you were able to stretch that out for 10, 15 years, whatever is going to be needed right there. So hopefully that is the game plan. Okay. Now, what we're going to see with the cliff that expired on September 30th, and I'm sure many of you have seen that, we did have an expansion to government operations. So we've got an additional 45 days for our lawmakers to settle on a budget for the fiscal year. So we're not shut down, but there are some funding that's still going on out there. You may see until there is a resolution and a new budget passed, you may see a decrease in subsidized children. So you're probably going to see a decrease in new referrals. You may see some families that are dropped from the subsidy program. That's most likely what our fourth quarter is going to look like. All right. Now, here is where things get misleading, and I want to make sure that everyone understands this. There is a difference between the Child Care Stabilization Grant, and that's what was signed in 2021 to give relief and boost the child care industry. That's what expired on September 30th. But we also have the Child Care and Development Block Grant Act. All right. Now, the Block Grant Act has been around for many, many, many years. And the block grant is what funds the subsidy system, and federal money is pushed down into the states, and then the state matches the federal dollars, and that's what funds all of our subsidized families. The Child Care and Development Block Grant Act is still in place. All right. And when our government settles on a new budget, I am pretty sure that they're going to continue to fund the Child Care and Development Block Grant. I pulled some data for y'all, and if any of y'all want this fact sheet, I can definitely email it to you. But the current funding for fiscal year 2023 for the Child Care and Development Block Grant is $8.02 billion. All right. And that was an actual increase in $1.86 billion from fiscal year 2022. So they are enhancing the Child Care and Development Block Grant. Please do not put your email address in the chat box because I will not see that and I will not email it to you. You need to send me an email and I will reply to your email and I will send that to you. But stop putting email addresses in the chat screen because you're wasting your time. All right. Send me an email, tim@timthetrainer.com, and I will respond to you with the fact sheet. All right. So, but just some notes that we are seeing with the child care cliff right here. There are over 300,000 children in licensed childcare here in the state of Texas, 305, 976 to be exact. The number that they are projecting, and this is based on a couple of pieces of data that have been collected, 3,949 licensed child care centers are at risk of closing if the relief funds are not expanded. All right. Now, that's based on some of the surveys that you have completed from different organizations. And so, if you want my honest opinion, I think those numbers are exaggerated a little bit. But that's what they're projecting is 3,949 licensed childcare programs are at risk of closing if something is not done with the cliff. All right. That equates to approximately 17,704 childcare jobs. All right. Now, this is where I get to see what your personality is like. Is that while, yes, 17,704 jobs are at risk of being lost, those of us that have planned for a potential obstacle like this, and you've got that grit and determination to stay open, I see that as potential applicants. So, not that I ever want to benefit from anyone else's misfortune, but there's going to be people looking for jobs. So, while this is going to be a challenge on one side of our business, on the other side of our business, it could help stabilize our staffing crisis. So there you go. All right. So, and again, I've got two different fact sheets that I can send you. Send me an email and I will respond with these different fact sheets. One is on the Child Care and Development Block Grant Act. One is on the Child Care Cliff that has some projected data for you right there. All right. So, and just if those of you that are nerds like me and you just love numbers, I'm a numbers person. 866,502,534 is what is given out in the CCDBG money to the state of Texas. The state of Texas matches that with $79,120,000, 538. So just some little numbers for you right there. So while the cliff is a big deal, and we do desperately need a resolution, and what has been proposed is what's called the Child Care Stabilization Act. All right. So we had the Child Care Stabilization Grant that was given to us in 2021. What they're being proposed now is the Child Care Stabilization Act that would kind of refund this program and help stabilize it. All right. So contact your local lawmakers. We got 45 days now, 45 additional days. Contact your local lawmakers, write some emails, make some phone calls. We got to make them aware that this additional funding is desperately needed to support our licensed programs. All right. Y'all, be professional about it. Be advocates. Talk about the benefits to your children and your families. I saw an email that came out yesterday that I'm sure was sent out with good intent, but the wording, in my opinion, was a little too aggressive. And it just sounded very combative, in my opinion. So, we can do this in a cooperative and professional manner. We want to be seen as professionals. We need to respond to this crisis like professionals, okay? And we can do this. And if you need help finding out who your local lawmakers are, you can go to the Texas Legislator Online, TLO, but it's the Texas Legislator Online. You can just put that in your search engine. Super easy to navigate that website, but in like the bottom right hand corner, you can enter your school's address and it will tell you who all of your lawmakers are from your local level all the way to the president. All right. And it'll give you their phone numbers, addresses, email addresses, websites. Super easy right there. All right. So, but yeah, we've got this. I've had a lot of conversation with some of the industry leaders. I've had a lot of conversations with individuals that are very well known in the industry as planners and forecasters. They've got an excellent history of projecting the childcare industry. All of us agree that we're very optimistic that there's going to be some type of relief here. All right. I don't think they're going to leave us high and dry. Just know that it may be that the Child Care Stabilization Act does not pass, but they could boost the Child Care and Development Block Grant Act that's already in existence. Either way, it'll work in our favor. Okay. All right. Now, with that being said, let's kind of shift over to a different topic unless someone else has any questions or comments. I see here someone is saying that in the Midland, Odessa area, they've got some schools that are closing. Yep, I'm hearing it all over the state. Um, but I also want y'all to keep in mind that there's multiple reasons why centers are closing. Not just funding being cut, but I hear people that are closing their schools because of staffing challenges, that they just cannot get the workforce. I also probably, if you want my honest opinion, the biggest reason why I hear that people are closing their centers or selling their schools is that they're just tired and they're done. These last 4 years have been hard, and a lot of people are just like out, right? And so that's an opportunity for someone that is ambitious to pick that up and run with it. All right. I see a question about what does it take to qualify. It's no different than it's been for the last 20 years. All right. So to qualify for subsidy, you just have to take subsidized children, and that's what the Child Care and Development Block Grant Act funds is the subsidy program. Okay. So if you're in a position, if you're in an area that you do not take subsidized children or you do not have subsidized children in your area, then a lot of this funding isn't available to you. But you're collecting all those big dollars from private pay tuition. That was a joke. Don't shoot me down for that. Okay? That's how the lawmakers look at it. All right. Now, with that being said, I've had two different conversations with two tax attorneys just recently, CPAs and tax attorneys, and I wanted to make y'all very aware of something else that's happening all over the country right here. Many of you did receive your child care relief funds. Many of you also received your employee retention credits, those of you that participated in the employee retention credits. If you did the employee retention credits, especially, then you had to do amendments to your 2020 and 2021 tax returns because it did change your income with the interest that was collected. You're probably going to be getting bills from the IRS on that interest. Okay, so the additional income and the interest that is associated with it. You can definitely write a letter to the IRS asking to be exempt from that interest payment. You may or may not get it. We just don't know exactly which way they're going to go at this point. All right, but definitely, get together with your CPA, write that letter asking to be forgiven for those interest payments. You may or may not get it. The other thing that we're being told by CPAs and tax attorneys is with the amount of money that we received in child care relief funds and the amount of money that we received in employee retention and I can't talk all of a sudden, employee retention credits, you probably need to be preparing yourself for a tax audit. From what we're being told, they're coming. They're going to be huge, and we need to make sure that your ducks are in a row. All right. Because we kind of have two big things that are throwing up those red flags. So just FYI on that one. Okay. So be ready for your tax audits. We're going to see those coming up real soon. All right. Let's kind of talk about Proposition 2. We'll kind of keep everything on the legislative side, and then we'll kind of shift over to some licensing stuff that I wanted to talk about this morning. There we go. See, someone is saying that a center is closing down in their area and they've always wanted to open their own program. See, opportunities. All right. So while it's time for someone to have their end game and ride off into the sunset, it's an opportunity for someone else to pick up and live that dream. Um, just make sure. Nope, I'm a filter. I was going to say something, but I stopped myself. Y'all, during the pandemic, some people lost taste and smell. I lost my filter. My apologies in advance right here. Yeah, welcome to ownership. Yay! Tax audits, cliffs, funding, property taxes. Yeah, let's talk about Proposition 2. This is super exciting, y'all, because I've been working in government relations and advocacy for over 20 years, and this is something that we have been trying to get past for so long. And it's so exciting that there is a potential here that this could happen. And I know that at the beginning it may not benefit everybody, but hey, y'all, we're all in this together, okay? And so while it may not benefit you immediately, y'all, this is opening the door. This is opening the door. I love the fireworks. Whoever just did that, that was pretty fantastic. I don't know, maybe Facebook did it for me. All right, so Senate Bill 1145 was passed by our legislators here in Texas during the 88th legislative session. That Senate Bill 1145 put in place a constitutional amendment that would allow cities and counties to give property tax exemptions to licensed child care facilities. Now, because it is a constitutional amendment, it has to go to popular vote. So on the November ballot, Texans will be able to vote on property tax exemptions in your area for licensed child care centers. Y'all, this is so big. It is the first time in history that Texans will be able to vote on child care. So when we talk about us getting recognition, being recognized as professions, y'all, this is a big win. This is a big win. Now, we just have to make sure that as advocates and as business owners and directors and administrators, we have to be getting the word out. We need to be educating our families. We need to be educating our communities on Proposition 2 so that they know what they're voting for. All right. So basically, the property tax cuts could be anywhere from 50 to 100%, depending on your city and county and what they pass. In order to be eligible to participate, then you do need to have at least 20% of your enrollment subsidized. All right. So again, I know that that might be disappointing for some of you, but hey, it's opening the door. It's step one. Let's celebrate that. Okay. Again, I have a flyer. This is on my website. If you go to timthetrainer.com and go to documents, then you can kind of download this and help pass it around to your families. Oh, that's a good idea. The two documents that I said that I would share with y'all, I'll put them on my website. I'll have my IT friend do that the moment we're done with Tim at 10. I will send these over and have those posted on the website so y'all have immediate access to them. Good thinking. All right. Let's educate our community. Let's educate our families on Proposition 2. So we want to get this passed. And then hopefully your local city, your local governments, your counties will be in favor of licensed childcare. And it would be great to get that 100% exemption. All right. But I'll take anything that we can get. All right. So we've got that right there. All right. Everyone take a deep breath on this. All right, take a deep breath. Something else that you might want to be aware of is that the United States Department of Labor has issued a proposal to the United States Department of Labor has issued a proposal to increase the salary exempt threshold. Now, this is for all employers. This is not just childcare. This is every employer in the United States of America. Currently, the salary exempt threshold is $35,568, which means that if you have any employee that makes less than $35,568, they must be paid overtime. All right. So that is this salaried exempt threshold. Not only do you have to meet what's called salary duties test or salary exemptions in order to be a salaried exempt employee, but you also have to meet the minimum threshold, which currently is 35,568. The proposal that is out there is going to increase this to just a little bit above $55,000. All right. And so 55,000 and some change is what they are proposing for the new threshold. That's a huge jump, y'all. That is a huge jump. So, you know, I'm kind of on middle ground on this one. The last time this happened and we saw that type of proposal from the Department of Labor, what ended up getting passed was about half of what they proposed. So, we look at it, them wanting to go up to about 55,000. The number is 55,068 if you want the exact dollar amount that's being proposed. So 55,068. The last time this happened, they kind of cut it in half, and so what was settled on was kind of middle ground. All right. Now I can't say this will or will not happen again. We'll just have to wait and see what comes of it. And we don't have a timeline on this right here, but it would probably be in your best interest to look in your organization. If you have any salaried exempt employees, how many of them make less than 55,068? And if you do have employees, you might be starting to work on a game plan. Are they going to become hourly? Are they going to be salaried non-exempt, meaning that they still have to get paid overtime? Or are you going to bump them up to 55,068? So would not be a bad idea for you to start looking into that and coming up with a plan. All right. So we've got that going on right there. All right. Something else. We've already had some conversations with this, but I'm still getting a lot of phone calls. And so I thought we would just go ahead and talk about this today as well. And this is the new Provider's Guide to Parent Rights. Here in the state of Texas with child care licensing. This also was a piece of legislation that was passed by the lawmakers that you elected and you put in office. All right. They did this. I love saying that because when I hear people complain about licensing and they want to beat licensing up, most of the stuff that's happening is from your lawmakers, okay, that you elected. So if you don't like some of this stuff, elect different lawmakers, all right? Or be an advocate and go down to the state and stand up for yourself, right? But anyways, we've got the parent rights. This has to be added to your parent handbook or provided to the parents in writing. The deadline for this was September 30th, so we are now past that deadline. You need to have new acknowledgement forms from all of your families stating that they have been given their parent rights. Most of the items that are on that list have already been in the minimum standards, but there were a couple of additions. The two biggest things that have gotten people a little up and up about is parents have a right to inspect any video recording of an alleged abuse or neglect involving their child. Okay, if the video recording is available. All right, so if you have cameras in your program and there is an allegation of abuse and neglect, the parents have a right to see that video footage if it is available. They have the right to review the video footage of their child, right? Now remember, if there are any other children in that video, then the families of those children must be notified as well before you show that video, okay? Yeah, y'all, don't make that big of a deal about this one. Just keep doing what you've always been doing. Put this in your parent handbook. Have them sign the new acknowledgement, and it is what it is. All right, it is what it is. Practice the power of acceptance on this one. And the other one, and it's really interesting, some of the phone calls and emails that I've been getting about this one is that, parents have a right to review training records of your staff. So a parent can come in and say, I want to see all of the training that Miss Tammy has completed. Okay. All right. In my opinion, I think this is going to be more helpful than hurtful. I don't see anything wrong with this. If you're doing good quality training with your staff, it's just going to help your situation, is the way I look at this. All right. So yeah. I got a question. What if the other parent is saying no, that they don't want that parent viewing the video of their child? The way that it's worded in this parent rights document is that you just have to notify the parent that you're showing the video footage. It doesn't say anything about consent. All right. So I do think that's interesting, and we're going to have to just play this out. All right. Now, remember, in the state of Texas, when it comes to video recordings, we have one party consent laws in the state of Texas. So basically, all we have to do is make you aware that you are being videoed. All right. And so the consent piece, the one party is you, the school. All right. So it just says that the parent has to be notified. All right. Now, this is where a lot of the concern is coming in, is that as soon as you have to tell these parents, hey, another family wants to see the video footage, it's going to start snowballing from there, because then the other parents are going to want to see the video footage. So that's the biggest concern right there. It's going to open a huge can of worms. So my recommendation is a lot more training on preventing child abuse and neglect, a lot more training on demonstrating competency and self-control in the classroom, so that your teachers are well trained, that they have the ability to hit that internal pause button, and then you won't have these types of situations. All right. Someone is asking to clarify abuse and neglect. So if a student gets hurt by another student, that's not abuse. All right. So no. And basically, the conversation that we had with child care regulations is to refer to the Texas Administrative Code for the actual definition of abuse and neglect. So, Brandy, that's a very good question. A child being hurt by another child is not abuse. All right. That would be an allegation against one of your employees, basically. Okay. So there you go. And y'all, it's allegations of abuse in your program. Okay. So if there's like a CPS case, something going on at home, that has nothing to do with you. Okay. Good question right there. Something else that I wanted to make sure that on this provider's guide to parents' rights, and you can download this from licensing's website. Something else that I thought was really critical is at the very bottom of the page where it talks about helpful tips. Is that you want to make sure that you're following your suspension and expulsion policy outlined in your operating policies. So that way parents do not feel like they're being retaliated against. All right. So if you do end up having to disenroll a family due to parent code of conduct or privacy violations or aggressive behavior where there is an immediate threat to the other children or the adults in your program, you don't want parents coming back and saying, well, you're retaliating against me because I asked for your video footage or your training records. No, it's going to be very important that you have a very detailed suspension and expulsion policy outlined in your parent handbook, and you follow it very consistently. Don't cherry pick on this. All right. You want to be very, very consistent. And so for suspension and expulsion of children, when you're drafting this policy, or if you're updating this policy, it's not just aggressive behavior by children that create a direct threat, but it could also be the behavior of the parent. And if the parent's behavior poses a threat or danger to the children in your program, that is grounds for removal as well. And that's actually in the child care minimum standards. When you go back to the chapter on safety practices, you're going to see that individuals whose behavior or health poses an immediate threat or danger to the children must not be present. Y'all need to cut and paste that into your parent code of conduct policies. If you have a parent that's coming in and they're aggressive and they're threatening, they got to go. All right. So I thought that was a really good tip that they had on the bottom of this parent's guide, a provider's guide to parent rights. Okay. So yeah, someone is asking for a sample copy of the suspension and expulsion policy. I do have a sample on my website. If you go to timthetrainer.com, I actually have an online training on suspension and expulsion of children. And so you can refer to that training, and there is a sample policy that was actually drafted by Ronald McGuckin and Associates with childproviderlaw.com. So we got to give him credit and kudos for that right there. So you can kind of check that out. I also have on my website an online training on parent code of conduct, and I do have some sample policies on parent code of conduct in the document tab on my website if you're needing some help on that right there. Okay. So we also, have the pre-employment affidavit that has gotten a lot of people a little confused. So I just wanted to clarify some information on the pre-employment affidavit. Once again, this was a piece of legislation that was passed by our lawmakers. So you need to have applicants fill this out before you hire them. Okay. So the question I've been getting a lot here lately: is it okay to have them fill this out during orientation? No, because when you orientate them, you have already hired them. The pre-employment affidavit is exactly what it's called. It's pre-employment. So you're going to have them fill this out and sign it during the application process. It's real easy. It's real simple. They are basically just disclosing if they have been charged or convicted with anything that is inappropriate relationships to a minor. Okay, so that's all they're disclosing here, is any charges or convictions that relate to inappropriate interactions or inappropriate relationships with a minor. It's not their entire criminal history. It's not their entire arrest record. It's only stuff that are related to inappropriate relationships with a minor. Okay. And it's in any state, whether it's here in Texas or if it's been in another state. Okay. The intent behind this pre-employment affidavit is to try to prevent these people from applying for jobs. All right. So that you can kind of cut them off before they actually go through the application process and kind of steer them away from your program. Also, just wanted to remind y'all that I do have a sample policy on my website, timthetrainer.com, for supporting inclusive services to children with special care needs. We've been getting this question quite a bit. And so I went ahead and just posted a sample policy. It's very simple. It's pretty much word for word, cut and paste from the Child Care Minimum Standards and from the Americans with Disability Act. We just did a Tim at 10 a couple of weeks ago on understanding the Americans with Disability Act for childcare providers. If you missed it, check that out. That you can kind of, if you have not done this, or if you just want to make sure your policy is up to date, I'm getting a lot of phone calls from people that are calling me with their childcare regulations inspector in front of them, saying, "Oh, they're questioning my policy on special care needs." So this is a big topic of conversation right now. So again, you can kind of download this from my website. Make sure that you've got what is needed in there. Basically, you're supporting inclusive services. That's what you need. So someone is asking about the affidavit. So do you need to have this affidavit? Yes, this is going to be required for any employee that you have hired after September 1st of 2023. Okay, so starting in the month of September, any applicant, let me rephrase, look, oops, I made a mistake. Let me reverse that. Any applicant that you had after September 1st, 2023, you need to have this pre employment affidavit with the application. Good question, good clarification. Thank you for that. All right. So, and again, we've got some more stuff coming on supporting children with special care needs. It's taken a little bit of time to plan, but we want to make sure that we're providing our teachers the tools that are needed to support the children in the classroom. I'm actually doing a session 2 weeks from now. I'm doing a session at a conference in Orlando on reducing turnover in licensed childcare programs. And one of the biggest reasons for turnover in this industry is lack of support and lack of professional development. Ouch, y'all. I have to take that a little personal, right? But we need to make sure that as directors, as administrators, that we are out there coaching and mentoring, not just relying on professional development over a computer screen like this. But we need to be practicing with them, showing them, practicing with them, modeling all of that coaching stuff right there. All right. Um, the affidavit, from my understanding, does not have to be notarized. So that is the consensus on everyone that I've talked to that has more authority than me. Is that no, it does not have to be notarized. Okay, so good follow up question on that right there. All right. But anyways, kind of going back to reducing turnover and providing teachers with support, mentoring, and ongoing professional development. The biggest topic right now, y'all, is serving children with special care needs. So we want to make sure that the teachers have the tools that they need to meet the children where they're at. Okay. And there are a lot of resources out there. We just have to find what is best for that teacher in that situation. Okay. Last thing that I wanted to talk about on my agenda right here is once again supporting our friends at Texas Rising Star and supporting the Texas Early Childhood Professional Database System, or TechPads. So there's a big push right now with Texas Rising Star to get all providers on the workforce registry with TechPads, so that everyone has their ID number. And then that way, all of your professional development is logged in a state database, and your employees are building their professional portfolio. This is going to help them with their training plans, with their professional development plans. It's going to help you too. And I know that it's a little bit of work at the beginning to get all of your employees set up with a workforce ID. I can tell you from experience, owning and operating 6 schools myself, once you get everyone in there and you start collecting and building that database, y'all, it's marvelous. It's absolutely marvelous. It's going to help you and your ability to maintain their professional development expectations so much easier. And the rumor on the street is, y'all, this is where the state is going. Okay, even child care licensing is kind of making comment that, this is how they're going to be auditing state files at some point in time, is the rumor on the street. Now, for Texas Rising Star providers, they're pretty much mandating this for you. Okay, so we are working really hard here at Tim the Trainer to support our friends at Texas Rising Star and with the Texas Early Childhood Professional Database System. So you're going to see more and more of my trainings that are verified through the Workforce Registry. And when you complete trainings like the one today, those of you that have a Workforce ID, it will automatically be uploaded into your database. So those of you that do have an account with Tim the Trainer, make sure that on your profile you're putting your TechPads workforce ID number. That way we can get it uploaded for those trainings that are verified, uploaded into your database. If you do complete a training that is not verified by the workforce registry and you just get a certificate, you can manually upload that. So it's super easy, win-win either way. All right. So yeah, I see a couple of people saying that they love the workforce registry. Y'all, it really is cool. I am really impressed with it and happy with it. It's been a lot of work on my end. It's been a lot of work for my office, and especially since we are trying to support y'all. We want you to be successful, with your professional development endeavors. But it's worth that work to see y'all successful. All right, and so once again, I'm getting a little bit of pushback from people that are saying, oh, no, we're not doing that. Oh, no, we're not getting a workforce ID. I'm not going to upload my trainings into a database. I had 3 people in a session last week that were just adamant they weren't going to do it. And I just wanted to look at them and go, it's not going to be an option here in the possible near future. So, and it's just put in place to help you. Don't we all agree that anything that would make our jobs easier and more efficient will take, right? And especially when it's free, right? So, just wanted to kind of throw that out there to you as well. So, we have made a commitment here at Tim the Trainer in Early Care and Education to try to support you as much as we can with the workforce registry and tech pads. Now I've got over 170 training topics that I do. And so me getting all of them verified by the registry is taking some time, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So there you go. Someone is asking, how do you enroll in Texas Rising Star? Just go to their website. Just go to your search engine and type in Texas Rising Star, and there's a big O icon right there for you to start the process and to get going with your self-study. So it's pretty easy right there. Now remember that as of October of 2022, any program that is accepting subsidized children must participate in Texas Rising Star. So over the past year, there's been a lot of activity. So be patient with our friends at Texas Rising Star. They have very, very large caseloads. They are trying to onboard a lot of people at one time. Some people are having a hard time with instant gratification, and they're getting triggered by a little bit of a long response time. All right, but y'all just be patient, be understanding. They've got a lot on their plate, and their caseload is pretty large right now, but they are there for you. And if you don't, get responses from your TRS mentor, shoot me an email or give me a call. I can help you get into contact with someone that can be there for you. All right, but most of the time, y'all, it just takes time. All right. Awesome blossom. Oh, I appreciate you too, Miss Brenda. So awesome. All right, so those were some of my current trends that current topics of conversations that we needed to talk about. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open for the Child Care Cliff, for the Child Care Stabilization Act, right? And contact those local lawmakers so that we can get some support out there over the next 45 days until we get this passed. But be optimistic, be smart, be professional, and we will make it through this. When you do see articles or stories in the news or on social media, my advice to y'all is to just please check your sources wisely. All right. Is this information coming from a creditable source? And are they giving you complete information, or are they giving you fragments of information? A lot of times, what we see on TV and on the media is they're only given pieces of the information, they're not given the whole story. Okay. But there are some out there that do give you the full, here's what's going on. Okay. Just with some of these Facebook groups and social media groups and networks and stuff, when people are expressing their concerns or feelings towards some of these trends that are going on, y'all just choose your source wisely. All right, because we got a lot of people out there that like to stir the pot. Okay, so you can either be one of the pot stirrers or you can be one of the solution makers. The choice is yours. Okay. All right. Awesome Blossom. Let me go ahead. Those of you that want a certificate for today, certificates are always helpful, right? So here is the link right there. I just posted it in the chat screen so that you can complete your online worksheet to get that certificate of completion. There's a $5 charge to get that certificate. That just kind of covers my IT cost and everything. If you don't need a certificate, don't worry about that. All right. So there you go. And if you came in late or you missed anything, or if you want to share this video with someone that may benefit, they are recorded. It'll be up on my website, within the next couple of hours. Also, it's available on Facebook. All right. Yeah, y'all have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I'll think about all of y'all on Thursday when I'm boarding the Carnival Breeze for our fall training cruise. We have about 135 proud early educators and their guests that are cruising with us on Thursday. So, hey, I did see that some last minute cabins became available. So maybe that was as of yesterday. So if you want a last minute jump on that ship, give Leslie a call in our office. Otherwise, we are still booking for January's cruise and April's leadership cruise. So yep, lots going on. Later, Gators. Have a great day.